In a right angle triangle where the angles are 30 degrees, 60 degrees and 90 degrees, the side opposite to the 30-degree angle is proven to be half of the hypotenuse. Use this fact to write down the trigonometric ratios for 30 degrees and 60 degrees. Let's assume the triangle shown here is a triangle we have in mind. This angle would then be 90 degrees, and I will choose the smaller angle to be 30 degrees, then the larger angle to be 60 degrees. This is a famous triangle, sometimes called the 30, 60, 90 triangle. It is a very good way to calculate the trigonometric ratios of 30 degrees and 60 degrees. As it was proven by the Greeks, the side opposite to the 30-degree angle is half of the hypotenuse. Therefore, if we choose the hypotenuse to be 2, the side facing the 30-degree angle would be 1 unit. In this right angle triangle, we can find the third side, which I show by x using the Pythagorean theorem. In fact, the hypotenuse squared is x squared plus 1 squared. From here we can see that 4 is equal to x squared plus 1. 4 minus 1 is equal to x squared, and from here we see that x squared is equal to 3, and x could be root 3 or minus root 3. And since we're dealing with a triangle and the length of a side cannot be negative, we ignore the negative root. Therefore, x is root 3. Because I have all of the sides, I can write down the trig ratios for all of the angles. For example, sine of 30 degrees is opposite of 30 degrees over hypotenuse, and therefore cosecant of 30 degrees is 2. Cosine of 30 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse, root 3 divided by 2. Therefore, secant of 30 degrees is the reciprocal of cosecant of 30 degrees, and that would be 2 over root 3. Tangent of 30 degrees would be opposite of 30 degrees divided by adjacent of 30 degrees. Therefore, cotangent of 30 degrees is root 3 by 1. As you can see, if we somehow remember the triangle itself, we can always quickly calculate the trigonometric ratios for 30 degrees and, as I'm going to show, 60 degrees without having to memorize these ratios. An advantage of this approach is that we can calculate the ratios exactly without any approximation. Now let's look at the triangle again. So here is the triangle that I have. If this is 1, the hypotenuse is 2, the other side is root 3. The angle facing 1 would be 30 degrees, and the angle facing root 3 is 60 degrees. Now let's write down the trig ratios for 60 degrees from this triangle. Sine of 60 degrees is equal to the opposite to 60 degrees, which is root 3 divided by hypotenuse. Therefore, the cosecant of 60 degrees is 2 over root 3. cosine of 60 degrees is the adjacent to 60 degrees divided by the hypotenuse. Secant of 60 degrees therefore is 2/1, because secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and tangent of 60 degrees is the opposite to 60 degrees divided by the adjacent to 60 degrees. And cotangent of 60 degrees, which is the reciprocal of tangent of 60 degrees, would be 1/√3.